Thank you, Mr Chairman. We have Mr Peter Starr from Sydney.
Good morning, Mr O'Sullivan, Chairman. Good morning, fellow shareholders, both mum and dad shareholders, retail shareholders, and also the Australian Shareholders Association, Chris. And to you, Mr Elliott, thank you. Just some housekeeping, just quickly. I'd like to thank Evelyn Halls that come and spoke to me in relation to the matter. I believe the whole board and senior executives at ANZ were listening to my comments at Westpac in relation to that matter about the mule account, so hopefully that'll be now fixed up. And hi Holly, how are you? You surely know who I am, because you're at Woolworths, yes. So, we're talking about governance and about standards. And are you talking about here, is this the standard that you guys on the board accept? That in the federal court, we appeal a fine of 2.5 and it's dismissed, and with the judge's comments was scathing of ANZ. And then we have the manipulation of the bond market. In heaven's name, can somebody explain to the mum and dad shareholders here and to the shareholders and the clients I represent what the hell has gone on? Because I'm at a loss. And then, to top it all off, like, we've got the regulator scathing of what the board hasn't done. And to take it even further, we take it to the Academy Award performance of what the hell has gone on in the dealing room. And it isn't the first time. These comments were reported in the paper. Can somebody please tell us what sort of governance is going on, where you have executives come back to a dealing room, a bit intoxicated, it was a good lunch, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't know what else is going on in the dealing room, but can anybody just please explain that? Because that's not the standard that I accept, and nor is it the standard that the shareholders expect. That's my first question.
Okay, maybe I can answer that, and I will remind, we want to give everyone a chance to the microphone today, so actually why don't you give me the second question and then we can be super efficient.
Yes, the second question is, can we have, I see Mark Whelan, is he still with the group? And who's actually been held accountable? Please.
Thank you. Look, thank you, Mr. Starr, for your questions. The number of issues you raised in the first one. Let me just start with I think it's a 2015 institutional placement, that's the court case you're referring to.
That's correct.
And as directors, our job is to act in the best interests of the business and indeed to safeguard your interests. The issue here, and it's quite a technical issue, but it relates to a disclosure that's required to be made to the market around how a certain deal takes place. And there had been no equivalent disclosure of that nature made in Australia before. So this was a new ground, a new item of interpretation of law. Our advice differed from that of the regulator. So the advice we got as directors was, it was important to clarify the precedent that was being set, because we would need to follow, as would all other banks, these new rules on disclosure in the future. And indeed the legal advice we got was that it was incorrect. So it is actually our obligation to act on your behalf to make sure we get clarity on that outcome. And that's why we appealed the case. Once we got the judgment, we've accepted the judgment, we respected the court, and there is now greater clarity in terms of the law. In terms of the markets business, and I think your question there was what's gone on, the board has done a significant independent investigation of the allegations there. The allegations relate to primarily a manipulation of the market in terms of a bond placement in 2023. We've said publicly, based on our review of the facts and our analysis of what went on, we have not found evidence that supports the allegations of market manipulation. But we are deeply respectful of ASIC. They perform a very important role for all of us in keeping Australia safe in a corporate sense, and we are cooperating fully with them to make sure that between our cooperation and their investigation, there can be clarity about what exactly happened and the right findings can be met. In terms of non-financial risk, in my chairman's letter in the annual report, I've given a fairly lengthy outline of what the board and management have been doing there. As late as this year, we were getting positive feedback in terms of the progress we were making from the third party we hired to independently review this. But clearly, the allegations that were made and some of the conduct issues you just referred to in our Sydney markets trading room did raise questions and did indicate that we have more to do. And the regulator, quite understandably, therefore, made some commentary and applied an overlay. And in terms of the dealing room and the conduct, we've had a detailed investigation of what's going on in that group. Let me just say, we have over 1,000 people who work in markets across a number of international locations. So in the Sydney dealing room, there were findings relating to poor conduct, and some of them were alcohol related. Some of the more colourful allegations in the media were not substantiated in our investigations, largely to do with claims associated with drugs. But there were consequences for people there. Some people left the business, and we are now working with Oliver Wyman in cooperation with APRA to do a wider survey and review of our markets business across all of our trading rooms to just check to make sure that what we've seen in the Sydney markets trading room is not systemic, it's not evidence of a wider issue. In terms of accountability for executives, your second question, in the remuneration report, you can see that we've applied what we call Westminster accountability. So in other words, Shane and Mark, they're not sitting in the Sydney trading room managing it directly, but they have Westminster accountability for it. They are ultimately the accountable people. And so we've adjusted the remuneration this year quite significantly. Mark got 50% of his bonus, despite the fact that Institutional has had its best ever year in ANZ's history and improved a significant improvement in profitability. And I think that just brings home the point I made earlier. At ANZ, it's not just what result you get, it's how that result is achieved. And we made a significant reduction in remuneration for the accountable executives to reflect our findings. So I hope that's given you and others some confidence that the board is very much focused on these issues. I should add, should anything emerge from ASIC's investigation, we've ensured that there is sufficient deferred remuneration due to our executives that we could adjust that. But as I said, at this stage, we have not found anything to support the allegations of market manipulation.
I have some other comments in relation to the directors, but I'm happy to wait and give others in the room to speak. Just one point, if I can make. When you people spend shareholders' money defending these things and penalties we pay, it affects the mum and dad shareholders in this room. It affects my shareholders. It affects Chris's group that he represents, which is quite a significant group, because it's our money that reduces our dividends. And I hope the board gets it and understands that.
We absolutely get that, and that's one of the reasons we're proud of giving our fourth highest dividend ever. But also, we have an obligation to protect your interests by making sure that there are important points of law, important principles, that we get clarity on those and we protect the bank moving forward. So it is a balance. Thank you.
Thank you.